Good morning, everybody. Molly Duplashane, Executive Director of Excise and Licenses, and this is the public hearing for the proposed rules governing city established consumption areas. We will go through some slides and have some time here for public comment towards the end. And just a quick run through of what we'll be talking about this morning. We will just do a quick overview of the rulemaking process for kind of educational and awareness purposes. And then Abby will go over the proposed rules. And then again, we'll have some time at the end for public comment and also offer some other options for providing public comment than just here at the hearing today. And then we'll just finish up with some next steps. So just a quick overview of the rulemaking process. These rules are, under consideration, and they were posted for public notice on April 22nd, which is a requirement of the rulemaking process, that they are posted at least 20 days prior to the hearing. And given that today is May 16th, where we're having the public hearing, we have met that deadline and beyond and posted them more than 20 days prior to the hearing. So after today, we'll review the feedback that we have received both in written comment as well as verbal testimony or feedback that we hear today. And then after making any adjustments or changes to those rules based on that feedback, then the rules just need to be signed by myself and then also the city attorney, and then they would become effective. And there is a link there to the full text of the draft rules that were posted on the 22nd.
All right. I will walk us through the language of the rules. I will note that this rule language has the language you'll see in the presentation differs a little bit from the language that was in the posted rules. We've made a few modifications for clarity's sake. So the rules begin with section 1, the definitions. Our first defined term is city established consumption area. This means a geographical area in a public space designated by the city and county of Denver in which persons at least 21 years of age may consume takeout beverages from eligible liquor licensed businesses. Our second defined term is a city established consumption area map. This means the map establishing the geographical boundaries of a city established consumption area and the eligible liquor licensed businesses from which takeout beverages may be purchased for consumption in the city established consumption area. Our third defined term is eligible liquor licensed businesses. This includes businesses who meet the following criteria. First, they must hold a valid state issued takeout beverage permit. Second, they have to be located adjacent to a city established consumption area. And finally, they have to have been designated by the director as a business in which persons at least 21 years of age may purchase takeout beverages for consumption in the city established consumption area. And our final defined term is takeout beverage. This means an alcohol beverage sold pursuant to a permit obtained by a licensee under section 44-3-911 of the Colorado Revised Statutes, as well as regulation 47-1101 promulgated by the Liquor Enforcement Division. Section 2 lays out the department's authority to make these rules and establishes the purpose of the rules. 2.1 states that pursuant to Title 44, Article 3 of the Colorado Revised Statutes, a municipality may designate a place other than a right-of-way in which consumption of alcohol beverages is permitted by persons who are at least 21 years of age. 2.2 states that as part of the city's strategy to create a more vibrant Denver and support local businesses, these rules are intended to create areas in which people may gather in social settings. To that end, these rules designate areas of the city where persons at least 21 years of age may consume takeout beverages purchased from eligible liquor licensed businesses. Section 3 of the proposed rules establishes the city established consumption areas. Rule 3.1 states that the Director of Excise and Licenses hereby designates city established consumption areas through the map or maps attached to these rules as an appendix. 3.2 states that the director, in their discretion, may, at any time modify the boundaries of a city-established consumption area and the inclusion or exclusion of eligible liquor licensed businesses within the city-established consumption area. Section 4 of the rules lays out other applicable requirements for the city-established consumption area and for people who are consuming beverages in the city-established consumption area. Rule 4.1 states that all other rules apply, so these rules do not alter requirements in state or local laws, rules, or regulations, and those laws, rules, or regulations may be enforced in the city-established consumption area. Rule 4.2 requires that persons at least 21 years of age may consume takeout beverages in the city-established consumption area if those takeout beverages were purchased from eligible liquor licensed businesses with a takeout permit. Once a takeout beverage has been removed from the licensed premises of an eligible liquor licensed business and taken into a city-established consumption area, it may not be removed from the city-established consumption area, including onto the premises of any business or back onto the liquor licensed premises in which it was purchased. 4.3 lays out the eligible hours for the city-established consumption area to operate. So persons at least 21 years of age may consume takeout beverages from eligible liquor licensed businesses in the city-established consumption area only between the hours of 10 a.m. and 9 p.m. daily. Rule 4.4 prohibits bringing in outside alcohol beverages into the city-established consumption area. So the consumption of any alcohol beverages not purchased from eligible liquor licensed businesses within the city-established consumption area is prohibited. 4.5 allows the Director of Excise and Licenses to prohibit consumption of takeout beverages in parts of the city-established consumption area. Section 4.6 requires compliance with all state and local laws. So eligible liquor licensed businesses that sell takeout beverages shall obtain all necessary permits and comply with all applicable rules and regulations issued by state and local licensing authorities. The Director of Excise and Licenses may deny or revoke authorizations given to an eligible liquor licensed business if they fail to comply with any applicable state or local law. That includes, but is not limited to, suspending or terminating the business's license, unpaid fine, suspension or termination of the business's license, unpaid fines, or any code or law violations. And finally, delivery of alcohol beverages to city-established consumption areas, even if it's done by a liquor licensee with a valid takeout and delivery permit, is prohibited. So this appendix to the rules shows the city-established consumption area map. We're calling this one Glenarm 1 and 2. Blue shading on the map indicates the city-established consumption areas. So those blue areas are where people can take their takeout beverages to drink. Red shading indicates the eligible liquor licensed businesses from which people can purchase takeout beverages and then take those beverages to the consumption area to drink. So you'll note that Glenarm 1 is on the Pavilion side of 16th Street, and it includes Glenarm Place on the Pavilion side, as well as the first floor common areas of the pavilions. On the opposite side of 16th Street, Glenarm 2 consumption area is that portion of the street in front of West of Surrender on Glenarm Place, as well as the Paramount. And the eligible businesses on the Pavilion side of 16th Street include Henry's Tavern, K Rico, 5280 Burger Bar, and Maggiano's. On the opposite side of 16th Street, the eligible liquor licensed businesses include the Paramount and West of Surrender. It's important to note that drinks purchased from Paramount and West of Surrender can only be taken to the Glenarm 2 consumption area that's right there in front of those two businesses. And then takeout beverages purchased from Henry's, K Rico, 5280 Burger Bar, or Maggiano's can only be taken to the Glenarm 1 consumption area there on the pavilion side of 16th Street. So a person could not, for example, purchase a takeout beverage at Maggiano's and then take it across 16th Street into the Glenarm 2 consumption area. Those consumption areas are separate and drinks can't cross 16th Street, and that's for safety reasons. So with that concludes the content of the rules. I will open it up to our team in case there's anything I missed or anything that folks want to reiterate before we move on to public comments.
I'll just add a couple of additions or notes, and that's mostly just that this is a different concept than common consumption licensing. And then I think that's one of the key pieces is that the blue areas on the map are not a licensed premise. They are just an area that the city is establishing where takeout beverages can be consumed, and that would then make it so consumption of those beverages within those areas is lawful. And then outside of those areas, if those to-go drinks are taken into that area and are open and being consumed, then there is, that is public consumption in those areas is still unlawful. So it is a little bit, or it is a different concept than common consumption licensing, and I think that's just worth noting for the public. All right.
Okay. So now we'll move on to public comments from anyone in the audience. If you'd like to make a comment, please click the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom window. You'll be promoted to a panelist. You'll be asked by Zoom to accept the promotion, and then you'll be able to rejoin the meeting as a panelist, and that will allow you to unmute yourself and turn on your video if you'd like. When you make a comment, please introduce yourself and tell us who you represent, if anyone. And we ask that you just limit your comments to 3 minutes just to make sure that we have plenty of time for everyone to speak who may wish to. And you can also email us written comments at exlpolicy@denvergov.org. Those are due at 5 p.m. today, May 16th. So if you'd like to make a comment, please go ahead and raise your hand. All right, I see Gil's hand raised. Gil, I'm going to promote you to a panelist.
You may just need to unmute yourself, Gil.
Okay, my apologies.
No, you're good. There you go. We can hear you.
My name is Gil Vondrasek, and I'm Vice President for Upper Downtown Neighborhood Association. And we're just extremely excited about the prospect of having these open areas and supporting the restaurants and sitting outside in our beautiful summers, enjoying a beverage. I think our only comment that we'd certainly like you all to consider is that we support the hours that you presently have, closing at 10 o'clock, and would not want to see that go any later, with the exception of possibly New Year's Eve or 4th of July. And I think that what the road that you're on and the work that you've done is just really great. And I think it'll be very helpful to support of downtown and getting us going again downtown. So on behalf of our Upper Downtown Neighborhood Association, we support this proposition as you put it forth and the hours that you're presently planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Gil.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Please go ahead and raise your hand. We also have a Q&A box enabled. If anybody has questions that you want to type into that box, we can answer those as well. All right, Lisa, I'm going to promote you to a panelist so that you can unmute yourself.
Leo. Okay, hi. I just have a clarification on something that Molly said. Um, I was taking notes and I kind of missed what you said, but you said this is different than a common consumption area, the blue section over at the pavilions. And I thought you said that you could not take your drink. Did you say past that blue area or did you say within that blue area? Because I must have misheard you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so you can take your drink into the blue area, but outside of the blue area is where public consumption would remain unlawful. So I think that's just an important note for customers and businesses to educate their customers that they can take those takeout beverages into the blue areas along Glenarm Place and on the first floor of the pavilions. But beyond that, public consumption is still unlawful.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I got a little confused and I heard that says I
Yeah,
apologize. Thank you for that
thank you.
clarification.
Mhm. Okay.
All right. I'm not seeing any other hands raised to make comments. We can give it a minute, see if anyone thinks of anything. I'll just note as well that these eligible businesses are the ones that are eligible today, but if there are additional liquor licensed businesses that open up adjacent to the city established consumption areas, the director can also designate those as eligible businesses. So just want to be clear that these aren't the only ones forever, but they're the ones for now. All right.
And maybe, Abby, while we give people a minute, I can talk through the last slide and just next steps and see if that generates any additional questions. Yeah, so just for next steps, Abby covered some of this already, but written comments are due today at 5 p.m. We've received some already, but if anybody has additional comments, they can be sent to exlpolicy@denvergov.org, and those would be taken into consideration. So we will take a look at those as well as the comments and questions mentioned here today. And we'll take those all into consideration to inform any revisions that we would make to the rules before adopting. And then they would just need to be signed by the city attorney and myself before they become effective. And then once we do sign them, we would post them on the website, probably send out some bulletin language. Definitely notify the eligible businesses and share this with other stakeholders. And all of that information would then be public once the final rules are adopted. So that will be on our website once they are signed and effective.
Okay. I'm not seeing any other hands raised, so I think we can wrap up the hearing early.
Great. All right. Thanks everybody for joining. Please do send in comments if you have additional feedback or share this information with others if they would like to comment as well. And thanks so much for attending today. Thanks, Abby.